or cover up any emotions that I'm feeling with quote unquote positive thinking. I've said that before and I'll say it again. I think it's really important to work through the issues and look at the underlying problem in order to help heal, the wounded Linda that is obviously still hurting from past experiences that this experience is bringing up. Obviously, there's a lot more stress right now for me because I do have a son and I worry about, is rent going to be able to get paid? There's just so much emotion that is taking place right now. There is some positive changes that are happening and I do have to acknowledge those. Alfonso, my fiance, a week before of us finding out that this contract wasn't going to get renewed for me, he did get a new job. He got 2 great job offers at the same time from 2 really big companies in fashion that he's super excited about. So that's great. And there's some sense of relief there, but it's still worrisome because of the amount of money that I was bringing in. It's just overall stressful. And I've spent a lot of time crying and really trying to work through these emotions. I'm sort of annoyed with myself. Like I said, it's like, okay, if I want to have this pity party and cry and, turn into helpless Linda, then fine. I just had to go there. And I thought that today would be a new day since I spent most of yesterday crying, but it wasn't. All of this emotion really began to surface on Sunday night as soon as I began to get anxiety about going into the office because I still have a month left. All of these feelings began to sort of trickle in and then it turned into a freaking Niagara Falls. Today, I spent most of the morning thinking about faith. I spent the morning trying to get myself into a place where I have faith. And I asked myself, what does faith even mean to me? I couldn't even come up with the definition of what faith is for me. So I had to look up the definition. That is how far from faith I was, or far from the confidence that I was carrying last week. Something happened, something shift where I began to worry and freak out. Here is the definition of faith. Faith is a firm belief and something for which there is no proof. Complete trust without question. That's a lot. I think when you're in a positive space, we don't realize how much proof it takes to get into the positive space. You slip out of a positive way of thinking, and it's kind of hard to get back in. And that is exactly what I'm going through right now. I'm finding it really challenging to get back into the vortex, as Abraham Hicks might say. If you've never heard of Abraham Hicks, please YouTube her. Her videos are amazing. I should probably be binging right now on Abraham Hicks, but it's hard to get back into the positive momentum of things because there is no proof. And I should restate that, there is proof. But when you're in a negative space, you can't see the proof. So what I did today was resort to something that I resort to when I'm feeling really desperate, when I'm really needing some answers. I wrote a letter to my intuition. I asked my intuition a question, and my intuition responded with a letter. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to read you what my intuition said. Return to the one. When there's negative energy surrounding me and I can feel the weight of the room, one of my go-to tools is smudging. I'm currently obsessed with Casa Papalot's smudging spray. It's easy. I just pull it out and start spritzing. There's powerful intentions in this spray, power-packed with Palo Santo, sage, along with Himalayan salt, which is important when working on dismantling negative energy. Infused with quartz and tourmaline and the energy of the full moon, this makes this a must-have. Head Head over to casapapalot.myshopify.com for all of your herbal teas, remedies, and energy clearing tools. That's Casa, C-A-S-A, Papalot, P-A-P-A-L-O-T-L. And make sure to follow them on Instagram at casapapalot. So I asked my intuition, what can you tell me to help me find the strength it takes to have faith and what the future looks like for my family? And here's what my intuition responded.
You are looking too far into the future. It's impossible to gather all of the information you need to be secure about what will happen a month from now, let alone 6 months from now. You need to bring yourself back to today. Do you have everything you need today? Is there something you are needing right now in this moment that you do not have? When you focus on something that might be lacking in the future, you are putting yourself in a dangerous place. We can't communicate with you in the future. We, the universe, God, communicates with you in the present. You could block off signs of direction that we are trying to guide you towards. You are taking yourself out of the vibrational frequency that we need you in order to receive. What we are asking of you is not hard. It's simply to look at today, focus on today, not tomorrow or next week. You are in the perfect place to practice this now more than ever, because you literally have the freedom to do so. Work on the gratitude that you have for everything that is in your life now. Find the magic in everything that you work on. The magic is here waiting to be discovered by you, but it can't be discovered if you are busy worrying about next week.
As I was writing that part out from my intuition, I kept battling my intuition and I kept thinking about the future. I couldn't put myself in the present moment. And my intuition went on.
There is absolutely no way for you to be able to identify what we have in store for you and how you are going to get there. You may have what you believe is an inkling or an overall idea. When you were feeling the way you were in times past, did you ever dream you would be doing all of the things you are doing now? Did you ever dream this big? That is all the proof you need. You have always been sustained, and that will never change. In fact, every time you have had what may be perceived as a setback, it has always been followed by major leaps of growth. Sit into what you feel. Ground yourself in that feeling, and instead of spending so much time in a low vibrational frequency, worried about all of the bad things that can happen, why don't you spend some time in a higher frequency, thinking of all of the amazing things that can happen? You will find us there.
I was in such a dark space this morning that I couldn't even get there. I couldn't even bring myself to focus on the present. Do I have everything I need? So it was a really great exercise for me to do this. It's something that I always resort to, and I always find it extremely helpful. And as the day continued, I started to feel my vibrational frequency get a little higher and higher and higher. Not explosively higher or anything like that, but I definitely found myself in a much more positive space, and I started to really think about what I had been doing to myself in these last couple of days, crying and just in all of these negative thoughts. I heard about this study that took place in 1993 back in Washington, D.C., which was, called the murder capital, highest murder rate. Washington, D.C. did some sort of experiment. I can't remember who sponsored the experiment, but they did an experiment where they flew in 4,000 people from all around the world to come to Washington, D.C. and meditate at the same time. Based on previous studies, they said that crime rate would drop 25% if they went through with this experiment. If 4,000 people came in to meditate, the energy would raise and the murder rate would drop by 25%. That was what they were estimating. Cops, I think, in the FBI or something were like, yeah, right, that's never going to happen. And guess what? It just so happens that the study was right. And now I think FBI is like behind this study and was funding this study or standing behind it. It was true. The crime rate did drop after this meditation. It made me realize that I'm placing myself under so much pressure. I'm adding to the pressure, and how that is changing or could potentially change the outcome that I am initially seeking. The reason this even manifested in the first place. So when my intuition said you're putting yourself in a dangerous place, that's what this made me think of I have the power to, instead of sit here, sulk and cry, I have the power to actually meditate or do some breath work and raise my vibrational frequency to have a better outcome. That outcome can increase by 25% instead of me sitting here and lowering the rate of success that I can potentially have. And then I began to go even deeper and think about how my body is made up of mostly water. And I talk about this all the time on how moon pulls the tide. Moon obviously affects what is going on in our energy body, in our body overall. It also made me think about the Japanese doctor Emoto, the doctor that did the study on water, where he put water in different containers and he wrote certain things on the water. He was mean to some water, like abusive to some water. He said thank you to some water, and how the water immediately began to crystallize itself in a different way depending on what he was telling the water. That has always been such a powerful experiment. And I was wondering, I wonder how like rotten I look inside, because in his study, the water almost rots when you're abusive. And when you're giving the water love, it's flourishing and it's making all these beautiful water crystals. This is an experiment that you guys can Google. I'll be sure to link more information in the description. But I began to think, how abusive have I been to myself? I really need to be much more loving and compassionate. One of the things that my intuition did take me a little back, or did make me gasp, was when my intuition said, if you keep thinking about the future, we're not going to be able to talk to you there. And it made me realize how important, again, it is to be present. And it makes sense that if I am constantly living anxiety, which we already know this, we've talked about it on the podcast, where if you're living in the future, you're facing anxiety. If you're living in the past, you're facing pain. And I was doing a lot of that, where I was reliving past experiences that were similar to what I'm experiencing now, but a lot worse back then. And, just worried about what was going to happen in the future, if we were going to be okay, if we were going to make it, if rent was going to be able to get paid, and if food was going to get put on the table. All of these feelings that when my intuition said that, it did really sink in and made me understand the importance of being present and being grateful. After that, I did find myself, as I was moving through my house, whether I went to go get a glass of water or I went to the restroom, I just kept thinking, I'm so grateful for this restroom. I love this restroom. I'm so grateful for this dining room. I love this dining room. I love this little nook in my house, the way I have it decorated. I was just so thankful for everything that I had today. It really grounded me and reminded me that all we have is the present moment. I couldn't even remember that. I couldn't even get to that place in my head. So I just wanted to share that with you all today. I know that after I shared my situation last week, I received so many messages from a lot of you all that were going through the same changes and the same transitions. And I just want to let you know that I am holding space for you. Thank you so much for holding space for me. You're in my prayers. And I really thought it was important to share just, these reminders, because we're human and we forget and we get caught up in our head and in our own negative space. So with that being said, I just want to tell you guys that I love you so much. Thank you for the support. And I know I'm going to get through this. It's not that serious, even though it is that serious, but I know I'm going to push through this, and I know that I'm going to get to a place where this is going to be the biggest blessing of my life. There's no doubt. But sometimes I just get lost. Before I say goodbye, I did want to let you know that those amazing moon patches that were given away at the Let There Be Luz Red Tent are up for sale at Chasing Camilla, made by Melissa Rojas. If you head over to @ChasingCamilla's Instagram, you can find a link to purchase those for $4.99. She only has a limited amount. While you're there, check out her other amazing merchandise. She handcrafts a lot of really cool items made from serape, like Mickey Mouse ears and bows, and just a lot of really creative stuff. So check her out. I also wanted to let you know that she will be in LA next week, and she has new merchandise coming out. If you'd like to purchase from her in person and you're in LA, she will be at Mercado Downey on August 11th from 12 to 5. She'll also be at Molcajete Dominguero Inland Empire on August 12th from 2 to 7, and she'll be at Molcajete Dominguero Los Angeles on August 19th from 11 to 4, sharing a booth with Glam Lindo. I love you, Glam Lindo. So if you're in town, head over to these pop-up shops. They're amazing. There's so many amazing handcrafted items from so many people in our community. So I highly recommend heading over there, eating some amazing food, and checking out all of the merchandise. I love you guys. If you aren't following us on Instagram, please do so at Let There Be Luz. If you haven't rated us on iTunes, please rate us on iTunes. It's your opportunity to vote for more conscious content. May the light within grow stronger.